Hey everyone. Hey Stuart.
Hey, how we doing?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
Oh, tip top. Thank you for asking.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah, so welcome everyone. I'm going to put the chat here. You can't see, but Jimmy Bird says hello from Oklahoma. Hello,
Hey, Jimmy.
Arlemi says hello from the other side.
Where is the other side? Where is the other side?
I wonder. So I'm in New York City. Stuart, where are you?
I'm in England. I'm in a little city called Lincoln in England.
Cool. But yeah, so hey everyone, welcome. I'm pretty excited for today. So today Stuart and I are going to the other side of Birmingham. Gotcha. Thanks, Tony.
So is that Birmingham, UK or Birmingham, Alabama? I always get confused there. Okay, so we're getting mixed up with cities. Sorry, Sean.
Well, if it's Alabama, he's close to Jimmy Burt. If Jimmy's in Oklahoma, so
there you go.
Could be either. Yeah. But yeah. So actually, Stuart, I should have asked this before. Do you prefer Stuart or Stuart Clark?
I prefer Stuart. Stuart's absolutely fine. Thank you.
Perfect. You got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Karsten from Denmark. Welcome. Thanks for joining.
Hey, Karsten too.
So yeah, today, so I'm Sean Keegan. I am a developer advocate here at Postman. So I get to do cool things like this stream, bring on guests like Stuart and talk about Postman, talk about how people are using Postman and can do cool things with it. And yeah, it's pretty sweet. So that's what I get to do. Stuart, how about yourself? You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, buddy. So I'm Stuart Clark. I'm a developer advocate with Cisco DevNet. Much like Sean, great thing about developer advocacy, you get to work with loads of cool people in the community, helping them with all kinds of things, building code samples, doing lots of kind of presentations, both internally and externally. It's great for me. I think one of the reasons I like being an advocate is you get to see what loads of people are doing. You get to see things from so many different vantage points, understand how people are trying to do. It gives you so many different ideas as well. It's so motivating to see what people are doing now. We seem to be in this really positive time where people are doing all of these really cool things, and just seeing what people are creating now and coming up with is just like mind blowing, absolutely mind blowing. So yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I think more and more folks are getting involved and more stuff becomes accessible. I think the more we see just really unique and awesome ways people are using various parts of pieces of technology, and it's just super fun to be in this kind of role. We're getting not only getting to be aware of that stuff, but interact with people and see what they're doing. So
yeah.
So hi, John's work alias. There is no better beard. So yeah, we got your first beard comment.
First beard comment, champion.
Yeah,
about 3 minutes in, we're talking about beards already. This is my kind of show. I'm loving it.
I like it. Cool. So I think before we jump into kind of what we're going to do today, so if you're just joining, our goal today is to talk about mapping your network devices with Cisco. And so we'll kind of jump in, and I'll let Stuart talk about what that means and how we're going to use Postman to do that and all that. I'll start just by talking about some of the things you may have missed. That's usually how we kick things off. So I'll do that, and then Stuart will kind of take over and we'll let him go. So pull my screen up here. And I'm going to, while I'm sharing my screen here, I'm going to hide the chat from this screen, but it doesn't mean we're not going to be listening and following along. So please feel free to stay involved in the chat, and we'll pull comments up, and Stuart and I are actively watching that. So we're happy to interact with everybody. So this is actually quite a busy day. If you follow our blog at all, we released about 3 or 4 different blog posts today with quite a few exciting updates. So we have this blog post from our CEO Abhinav, the new Postman platform, redefining API management for the API first world. I'm not going to really do it justice if I try to talk about this blog post and summarize it neatly, but highly recommend taking a read. It kind of talks a bit about what API first is, this idea of using APIs to kind of drive your vision and drive what you're doing, as opposed to coding first and then building an API after. So really great blog post from our CEO. I highly recommend it. In terms of more concrete things that I want to talk about. So again, this is just on our blog post. So I'm happy to share this in the chat here, because there's quite a few different posts that I think folks might be interested in. our API platform, announcing 6 key platform improvements. Again, I'll pull this one up. And there's quite a few different things I'm going to summarize here. I highly recommend it's a 12-minute blog post. Again, I'm not going to be able to hit all the points here, but really recommend going through it. So some of the various things, API disambiguation. I practiced that word too before saying it, and I still stuttered on it. But yeah, I mean, these blog posts really give a good idea of some of the things that we're introducing and launching. So again, this idea of API first, something that we're really striving for here at Postman. And I want to get to some of the actual things. So deeper integration with version control systems, right? This is a huge one. Being able to kind of keep your collections and various schemas in sync between Postman and whatever repository or version control you're keeping it in. So that's one. And again, there's lots of information here. I wouldn't do it justice by trying to go through anything. The private API network. So if you follow the streams, you probably know that we explore the public API network a decent bit, and that's where we find various APIs to play with. We'll see the Cisco DevNet API in there eventually, but the private API network, this is a place where you can, for all the folks in one place, that aren't listed publicly but need to be able to find the APIs or all things related. The private API network is going to be a great opportunity and way to kind of make that easier to find things. More control for governing public APIs. Right. So if you have 100 or 1,000 people in your Postman on your Postman team, this will allow you to kind of control what gets public and have greater visibility into what is being public. API documentation and onboarding. Again, just more control. Right. Documentation is so important to developer experience and having people consume your API. So quite a few different things here. Integrated tooling, and another blog post we're going to talk about is just some of the more integrations that have been released recently. So again, I'll let you look through this on your own. And lastly, deployment control for the Postman Enterprise Plan. So this is a super valuable one. So if you're on the Enterprise Plan, this is the ability to kind of maintain all of your users using the same version of Postman, updating at the same time, and just kind of having that ability to control that from one source so you don't have people on all different versions and stuff. So that's 6 features. Another thing to mention is deploying Postman Enterprise Scale. Talked a little bit about that. But yeah, so these are all exciting things. All these blog posts came out today. So I'm actually just kind of going through them today and getting the full scope of them. So highly recommend. Arlemi has dropped these in the chat for those of you that are interested in checking any of these out specifically. So I think that is my longest, in case you missed it. And no worries if you did miss it, because like I said, it just came out today. So that's from me. That is my sharing. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for now. Stuart, I guess one quick question for you. Is API first something, a phrase that you're familiar with? Is that something you're hearing as you talk to different folks?
It is, and it's a really good point that you wanted that you're bringing up. And I think this is why we Cisco and Cisco DevNet, we have this great synergy with Postman. The DevNet team, we have something called the API Style Guide. And the API Style Guide means within Cisco is that we meet with the different engineering teams who are building APIs, and we meet with their leaders, and we meet with the technical marketing engineers and everybody that's involved in that API process to build a governance around Cisco APIs. In the API Style Guide, we publish a best practice of how to build APIs first, and why APIs are the first thing we should be thinking of when building our platform. How can we get that similarity across all of Cisco APIs? What an API should include? How to, keep the documents up to date, and the differences that you were, some of the differences that you were talking about there. So that blog post really, really resonates with me, because part of the entire DevNet or developer experience journey is about introducing people to APIs. And as we know, a good API, people will talk about it. They will continue to use it. It should be easy to consume. The documentation should be all up to date. So when you look at the content that we're pushing, on Cisco DevNet in conjunction with the API style guide, we are in this API first world, and it's something that we're striving to achieve, with our team across, Cisco's entire platform of APIs, from different platforms to, SD-WAN, NSO, DNA Center, Meraki API. The list just goes on and on and on, right?
Cool. Yeah, it's awesome to hear it becoming more commonplace and more of a philosophy that companies are adopting with regards to APIs. So yeah,
absolutely.
Cool. So Stuart, what do you say we jump into some stuff with Cisco here?
Yeah.
So again, our goal today for just joining is to map network devices with Cisco. So we're going to use Postman and the Cisco DevNet APIs and see what we can build. Hopefully, get a cool visualization. So I think before jumping into that, Stuart, would you mind giving us, a bit of an overview on Cisco DevNet and what we kind of hope to get into today?
Yeah, cool. I'd love to. So Cisco DevNet started around 6 years ago, and it was really to help people embrace this, net DevOps world that we live in today, where people are becoming involved in consuming and using APIs. So for somebody like me, I came from a network engineer background, and as we know with network devices, they were made when you log into them via the command line interface or CLI. They were made for human consumption. So everything was made for human eyes to be read. When you're typing things out, it wasn't like using a language like Python or Go or Java or React or anything like that. You're logging into this and you're typing the commands into this, and this is being translated by code which is running on the device. And to give you an idea that when you're typing those commands into a device like Cisco, an IX6E device, the platform IX6E, behind the scenes there is over 3 million lines of actual code translating that into those commands that you see for configuring and show commands and things like that. But as we moved into this, age of the programmability age, and people were wanting to, connect devices and applications and get data faster and do deployments faster, the industry started to change. And so we started to look at, infrastructure as code, and then using, programmability to connect to our network devices. And a lot of network engineers, like myself, started to pick up programming languages like Ansible and Python. Golang are the great example. But when it comes to kind of consuming APIs, writing that in Python, if you're not kind of familiar with the API and you're still working with it, and you've got the documents open on one screen, and you're in the UI, for example, from an SDN controller, you're jumping into these things and you want to start making API calls. It's going to be kind of a nerving kind of experience, because for me, from a network engineer, I thought an API was perhaps a beer or a lager or a ale, perhaps. It is, by the way.
You might have even just said IPA.
Yeah, IPA, yes. Very tasty. So this is all kind of new. And then, my background, again, I was using a lot of tools that people aren't familiar with, like Python and Ansible, connected into these devices with like things like requests library and various open source tools to be able to do that. But Cisco has a number of controllers to be able to do that as well, and to be able to, again, lift the burden of having to manually configure devices, one by one, and you can create, playbooks and scripts to be able to do that. So DevNet covers all of those pieces as well, but what it really covers is introduction as well, getting started to with using and consuming APIs on Cisco's platforms. And we mentioned a whole bunch of those, depending on where you are as well. So if you're in an enterprise environment, you might be using, say, Meraki or Cisco DNA Center. If you're in a service provider or very large enterprise, you might be using NSO. And then you've got all the collaboration tools as well, like WebEx and things. How do people get started with these, and where do they find the documentation? And so, as if by magic, hopefully now you can see my page, this is where we land at, ta-da, developer.cisco.com. And this is what DevNet is about. So we hold all of the documentation. If it's got an API, if it's got a Cisco API, the chances are that we have that documentation for that API. We keep all these in what we call dev centers or microsites. So some of the platforms that we spoke of, like DNA Center and Meraki and SD-WAN, which we're going to look at in a little while, we actually have a landing page for that. So it enables a developer or someone who's wanting to consume that API, a landing page of not only the platform, so it talks about the platform from an architecture standpoint as well, and what the platform does, but how to start using the APIs in this and how to start integrating them, not only into tools like Postman and Ansible and Python, and how to start consuming the API that way, but how to integrate them with other applications and other tools as well, into the entire life cycle or the entire enterprise service provider vertical.
So John's work is already saying whoa, so they're already impressed.
Thank you.
Get ready. And actually, so Stuart, I'd be remiss if I didn't reference this inside joke for the streams before. So John's work is saying, can you pipe the results into Google Sheets? To which Arlemi replied, we don't talk about Google Sheets at John's work. This is a reference to I think a week or so ago where I had Arlemi do a blindfold challenge and had to do Google OAuth and pipe results into Google Sheets. So it was a fun live stream. So that's just a callback to previous stream.
And that was blindfold?
No, he wasn't actually blindfolded. Good question. That actually would be super impressive, and I'd be very curious what kind of success Arlemi would have. But yeah, it's a fun stream where I give somebody who comes on like a random API and say, all right, let's explore this API.
Wow.
And just see it kind of come up with some challenges for them. So it's a fun one.
Yeah. That is a fun one. We did something. We've done something similar with DevNet with various sort of hackathons and things like that, and people building their own projects using Cisco APIs across the board. And this is where Postman really comes into play. Cisco does a number of events, and we're doing obviously a lot virtually as we all are in the world. And we've had one of the first times I started using Postman was working at what we call a DevNet Express event. So we generally hold these globally around the world, free event for anybody to turn up to, and they can sit for kind of 2 days, and it's just kind of like a kind of hackathon, but more of a learning experience. And it goes through starting with Cisco APIs, and Postman is one of the things one of the things that we start off with on day one. Because a lot of the people who are coming to these aren't familiar with using APIs. Like I said, they might have come from a background, network engineer background like myself, or might have come from a software background, and they're looking to integrate, the APIs on Cisco platforms into different tools. So this is where kind of Postman really sort of jumps in. The cool bit about this is, besides all of the the documentation that we have on here, we have a number of
so Stuart, I think you might be, are you trying to share
no, I've just got the developer page just up right now. Can you see the developer page? Oh, there you go. Okay, is that working still?
Developer.cisco.com.
Yeah, that's the one, developer.cisco.com.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah,
I think the screen share got a little bit frozen for the viewers, but
thank you, buddy.
If you see the right thing, let us know in the chat. So thanks Jeremy Field for letting us know that things were.
Thanks, Jeremy.
But
yeah. Oh, it's a network issue. So I was talking about that earlier, weren't we? ISPs. So one of the cool things is, we do have the start now. We have learning tracks, video courses. But one of the main great things here is the sandbox. So if you were like kind of me, when I was starting out, a lot of people had to buy their hardware from eBay or something like that, or from somebody that they knew, and then you had a rack of gear somewhere within your house and things, and it sounded like a jet plane taking off when you powered it up. But because we live in this great virtualized environment now, we're able to virtualize a lot of the platforms that we have, which then allows customers, partners, community, any member of DevNet. If you want to join DevNet, completely free at this stage, should I say, you just click the sign up button, and then you can log in with your social media accounts to log into there. Or if you've got a Cisco ID, you're a partner, you can log in with your Cisco ID. But the sandbox is, we have nearly 80 different sandboxes now. So we're covering all of the things that you see on the screen: networking, data center, cloud, security, open source, analytics, automation, collaboration, Internet of Things, and all of these things. So we have all of these running in the background, which users can just log into, and they can just start using, straight away, completely free of charge. You're accessing, Cisco platforms right away. But the secret that we take this one step further, and this is where it gets super cool. And I'm going to jump in now to our Postman collection. So this is where it really comes to power, because we have 37 collections of APIs in here. And we can jump into some of these. If I just click on the collections here, you'll start to see them here. And all of the platforms that we have across Cisco for different verticals, different platforms are all in here. And this is how we engage our community in starting with using and consuming Cisco APIs on Cisco platforms and all of the products. We can just scoot through, some of these. I'm just get my slider. Where's it gone? There we go. And we scoot through some of these. And you see we've got Postman collections for crosswork. We've got Postman collections for security APIs, firepower devices, Cisco XE, which is a big routing platform, data center collection here for DCNI. Then we've got another.
Could I bug you to zoom in one more time here?
Yeah, let me do that. Yeah, no worries. There we go. How's that looking?
So it looks okay to me. We're getting folks. So Jeremy and John's work else are saying that it's stuck. I'm not sure what to do because I'm seeing it on on our platform here. Yeah. And it doesn't seem to be particularly laggy or anything. So John's work else saying he can't see the correct screen. Well, our first debugging before we even get into any code.
Let me stop sharing for a second then.
Okay.
I'll jump back in and then I will start sharing again, because often that we find a restart just fixes everything, doesn't it?
Cool. So I'm going to actually pull up what you were just showing on your screen.
Okay.
And see if the stream works for me.
Okay.
So give me 1 second. I'll pull that.
Yeah,
out.
No worries. Thank you for flagging that, Jeremy. That's cool.
Yeah, appreciate it. So John was saying you could see this. And actually, yeah, there's no reason you all can't see me try to navigate here. So I will share my screen for this. Screen 2. Okay. So let me know. I'm curious. Another person. So Kapil says on YouTube it is stuck, so that's not ideal. Are folks able to see my screen?
Oh,
looks like
we got thumbs up from Jeremy's good. Thank you, Jeremy.
So this is, what I would do here, right, is I would just kind of search Cisco DevNet, and I find Cisco DevNet Public Workspace. So Stuart, I think I'll show this for a second, and then I'll try to transition it back. If you want to kind of talk me through, and I'll go back to. So this is the team page that I think you were on.
Yeah.
And just looking at some of these collections.
Yeah, looking at your collections. Yeah. Quinn Snyder said it looks good. Good to see you, Quinn.
Yeah, thanks, Quinn.
Sharing any Chrome.
So we got Arlemi said, I know, Stuart, we had talked about this. You could try sharing only Chrome and see if it helps. Is that?
Yeah, let me try sharing only Chrome.
I know Chrome was like something we talked about.
Yeah, we did. Let's have a look. So there we go. Share and then just flip over here. So this is sharing Chrome now. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Stuart, if nothing else, I appreciate this because this is the most support I've gotten from the chat on things I've done, and it's just sharing my screen.
How does that look? You should see that now.
Let's pull it up. So this is Stuart's screen. I'm going to stop sharing mine. Simply restart everything. That's what I haven't heard yet, but I like it. So again, I'm seeing it okay. Folks in the chat, let us know what you're seeing here. We got a smiley face. True IT answer. Okay, so Stuart, if you don't mind, I think maybe Chrome seems to be okay for us right now. So let's
do that then.
Cool.
Yeah, so let's keep on. Thank you, everyone. So as we kind of move through, you start to see all the different, the different collections here. So it doesn't, we try to cover, as like I said, as many platforms as we can. Anything that's got an API in it at Cisco, we tend to have a Postman collection in here. And the collections are, added by, other advocates who work on, the same team that I'm on. We have, 10 awesome advocates within our team. And we've got some other, pieces in here which are coming from, the BU, the engineering teams, the TMEs, and even the folks who work and build the APIs as well, because we have this great interlock and great connection with the, the teams who are building the Postman, the APIs at Cisco. A lot of them are using Postman as well to do testing with the APIs, because we know our customers, our consumers, the community are using this, so they're using that tool as well. So, they often build the collections as well and come to our team and say, hey, can we share this? We know Cisco DevNet's got a great Postman collection. Can we share this on here? And we can do that, and we can share all of these, all of the collections, with the entire world on here. So it's a great way to start sharing this, and it gets people, using the APIs within, Cisco's platform. But I was talking about that little bonus bit then, just before we jumped into our technical things. Nearly all of the Postman collections that you see here work on the sandboxes. So you don't have to run them on your own environment. They have, a lot of them have, the Postman environments already built into the collections, and you can start using them right away on the sandboxes. So, no risk by running this on your prod or having to spin up a virtual, instances for yourself. We've got those things for you already built in the background. We have, at this stage, I should point out, we have two different types of sandbox. We have always on sandbox and we have reservable sandbox. We try to cover it so that you might see duplicates in here. So when you see this one, for example, Cisco reservable SD-WAN, and then you might have seen when I was scooting around here, you might see always on. Exactly the same topology, exactly the same devices, except for one of them, the always on, is publicly available. It's on a public IP address. It's accessible from any device anywhere in the world, 24/7, 365. And you can start running your API collection, and your Postman collection against it immediately. Get the collection, load it in, set your environment for this, SD-WAN always on, and then start running, your request, your API request straight to the device. You start getting responses back straight away. All the passwords are already baked in, etc., all really cool. However, this is an always-on environment, so we actually keep these in what in like a read-only, because you can imagine putting something like this with admin, essentials on there. Everybody's going to be making changes at once, and so we need to have some kind of governance over there, some kind of security posture running on there. So the APIs, they're all completely read-only, but you're still getting access to, say SD-WAN's got 250 different resources, APIs on there. You're still getting access to the majority of them. So it's a great way to start using the APIs. It's what we kind of think of that. When you're doing automation, you think about it as the low-hanging fruit, the GET request, because you're not going to break anything, right?
Yeah.
So they're the great things. And I use the always on for just doing a quick test. If I'm helping somebody in the community on Twitter, in the Cisco community, always just jump in, the always on, just load the collection, or just bang, 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 just send all the the API calls to this and start retrieving them, modifying them, changing them around a little bit just to do that. The reservable one, a little bit different here. Reservable one, when you reserve the reservable sandboxes, they are yours. It gives you a VPN connection into the sandbox. And again, you get the all of the environments, everything that you need there to start again using the APIs. Same topologies, we like to keep them both the same, so we've got the consistency between the two. However, within this one, you do get extra credentials, because within the reservable one, once your time limit is allocated, and some sandboxes you can go for a number of days, some are limited to hours. It's due to popularity. We like to keep it fair, because everybody wants to have a go with them, and someone reserving them, hogging them for 14 days isn't necessarily a good thing. Once your reservation is over, the sandbox is basically torn down, it's destroyed. And with some of the sandboxes as well, because you have administrative rights on there, you can actually tear things down yourselves and rebuild things yourself. So it's almost like having your own fully live production environment in there. So that's great. All the Postman collections are designed as well, built, ran, tested against the majority of sandboxes we have Only time that doesn't happen is if we don't have that particular platform or that within, you know, the sandbox. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say here that we are covering everything that we have in here. I'm going to say we're covering 85–90% collections will work in the DevNet sandbox. And then if you want to use them in your own environment, say you've got SD-WAN in your own, you know, own environment, your own enterprise, just change the, you know, environmental details, point it towards your IP address, update the usernames and passwords, and, you know, there you go. Your Postman collection is now working on your environment. So, you know, everyone's a winner.
Cool. So Stuart, let me see if I can kind of. It's not moving anymore. If it is, so yes, I don't think Stuart was.
No, I wasn't moving at all.
Kind of just chatting. Yeah, just chatting. So hopefully we're still good. Yeah, Stuart, let me see if I can't recap from my own understanding kind of everything that you just said. So if you like the always on versions are like anybody can access them. If you have a sandbox account, like, so if I went in today, created a developer account, I'd be able to kind of make like practice calls with this sandbox.
Yeah.
Cool. And I don't need, you know, my own actual devices. I can say like, oh, okay, like this is how the API would behave.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And again, I want to drop the link just so folks, if they wanted to follow along, they would just go to developer.cisco.com, correct?
Yep. Developer.cisco.com. Yep.
All right. Cool. Yeah, I think that's awesome. And then I think the last thing is the collection we're going to play around with today, the WAN always on one.
Yeah, so we're going to use the SD-WAN always on. Yeah, we're going to jump into that one now. So what I got to do though is I do have to just hop across here and just change to start using sharing my Postman. So let me just open this up now. Actually, before we do that, let's just maybe we can jump into Postman. I think we can. I'm going to try and share my entire screen because I do need to hop over a couple of different windows here. So, okay. Jeremy, if you can be our point person for my screen stop sharing, I appreciate. Yeah, our eyes on the ground, and that'd be super helpful.
Are you ready for me to pull it up, Stuart?
Yeah, yes, please, sir. Pull it up. Put it up.
Here we go.
Here we go. Okay. So I'm in the Postman.
I would say just zoom in one or two more times.
One more time. Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Yeah, this looks great.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Probably hard for you to navigate, but it should be all right.
I'll be fine, buddy. I'll be fine. So let me show you just before we jump into that. Because I have got in Firefox. I've got a Firefox window open as well. I can show you the actual SD-WAN fabric that I'm going to connect into. So this is the SD-WAN fabric. This is the main UI, and it's a Cisco vManage is the name of it, and this is kind of the brain of the device. So to give you an idea of what the platform looks like that we're going to be testing and using today, the main thing to think of here is that this controller, this SDN controller, Cisco vManage, is connected to 8 devices. So it's got 8 routers hanging off it in a simulation. So imagine those to be like a campus or a branch or a data center, with a couple of hundred users sat behind them, and there's traffic all going across, all between these sites over a private interconnected network. And instead of having to log into each of these devices, say I wanted to make a change, our CTO comes along to me and says, hey, Stu, what we need to do is we need to update our security compliance on all of these devices. Now, logging into 8 devices maybe wouldn't be so tiresome. I could probably do that in about an hour and make these changes. But let's imagine that this is 2,000 devices. Some companies have a lot of devices out there, a lot of sites globally, and they're asked to update out all of these for a security reason. And updating that, it's kind of like, I like thinking about it like painting this, the Golden Gate Bridge, that, by the time you've got to one side, you're having to go back and start painting again. If anybody's done any patching over the years, this will really resonate with them. And especially in like a security environment when you're wanting to push out changes rapidly because of vulnerabilities, because of the risk of attack or data breaches, you want to do that immediately. You want to push all of this same policy out to all of these devices. This is where an SDN controller with APIs really starts to have that impact on, a global network. You're also able to monitor a lot of traffic. You'll see a lot of things in here like transport health and how many packets we're sending and what that looks like. It's an incredibly powerful, UI to log into. But more so, it has a more powerful API. We can control all of this platform using the APIs. So the collection, we saw it. It was on the Postman collection, and I've got it here locked and loaded within my Postman client. And so what I've done is I've set my environment up. My environment is pointing to this device, which is located in one of our data centers. So everything's virtual at this stage. And then using Postman, like I said, we've got the collection in here. And we have to go through a number of steps in here. So we have to go through the authentication, which in vManage, here we're just going to send a post request here. So this is where we're going to the live demo. So if you've got anything to cross it in there. Cross it now, please. So what we do is, let me just, so I'm just going to, yes, sir.
One question as we're getting started here. So you are working in the actual Cisco DevNet Public Workspace right now.
Yes.
So for folks at home, they're not going to be able to send these requests, directly from here. So the workflow they would have to do is, forking this into their own workspace so that they'd be able to actually enter in. They're not going to be able to edit in, their own credentials and stuff. So for a few reasons here, one, if you were going to make changes and do stuff on here, I don't necessarily think you would want like the public one to have like these specific changes.
Nope.
And to just like show the workflow, would you mind forking this collection into like your own like personal workspace and working from there?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can do that for you. Let's see. So how do we fork it from? We can fork it from here, right?
So right now we're looking at an actual request, but if you go back and click on the collection on the left.
Collection on the left. Yep, over here.
Or just the name of it. Yeah, so like the Cisco.
Oh, okay. Now, which one? I think I was on this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I can do is, create fork. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, okay. So let's just call this Postman demo. Thank you there. There we go. Postman demo.
Yeah, because I don't know if we're gonna save changes and then have the public workspace be
No, there's no changes. No, it wouldn't. Okay. It wouldn't change. So let's just fork the collection there.
And so John's work alias has a great question. How do we get a test environment ourselves? And so this is going to be another thing where for folks that want to use this. And actually, so Stuart, I would star this collection. Do you know how to do that?
No, let's do that.
Yeah. So if you hover over the collection name, and then just click the little star on the right.
Oh, yep, I gotcha.
That'll pin it to the top, which is a nice helpful. It's a little helpful trick.
Yeah, that's cool. That's super cool. What's this? Yeah, it's adding these things. Let me just pull out from here. Don't save. I don't know what these are. Postman demo. There we go. Okay. There we go. So we should be set to go now because this is all in my local environment. Let's just test this out. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you didn't have this, right? So John, or for Stuart, he already has this in this workspace. If you didn't, right, you could go back to the public, the Cisco DevNet Public Workspace. Go to the Environments tab on the left, and then you could fork the environment as well.
Yeah.
And so you can bring this environment in. And so it looks like Stuart's already done that.
Yeah, I do have, yeah. So the environment is already pre-built into all of the collections. Yeah. Yeah, and I just go into the drop down, and you can see I've got a number of, collections already sort of preloaded in here from the other collections that we've got. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. But what I'm missing is because I just need to scoot along and I need just to check that I have, okay. So I'm going to need just to update these because we've changed this over. So I'm just going to update some of these variables on here as well. I think I just need to update the IP address of vManage. So let me just copy that out of there.
And just to make sure it's okay that you're showing this publicly, right? Because this is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that.
Yeah, this is all good. So yeah, you breathe out. Yeah.
Yeah. We've shared, many secrets, so it wouldn't be out of the norm if we did.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, thankfully, the good thing about using the sandboxes and a lot of the things in the demos, we can share the passwords because the passwords are publicly available as well. Yeah, so I should be good there. So let me just send this request. Let me send that again. There we go. So we've got our 200 OK back. And then we need to get a token for this. So, the token will last for around, I think it's 30 minutes with this particular token as we are, continue to do, further API calls with SD-WAN from this. So we've done our authentication now, and we've got our token. And what we can do now is we can start to drill down into some of the other APIs to get information about the devices. And we mentioned before that there's 8 devices connected into here, but this could be up to 2,000, 3,000 devices. And we wanted to, to jump into those. So I can go onto this device now using this GET request, and I can go into the parameter just to select all of my devices. And then all of a sudden, we're pulling back. If I scoot down a bit further here, move that up.
Just gonna move our faces to the side so we can see the response a bit better.
Yeah. And we scoot down here, and we start to pull the information back from all of the devices which are connected into the fabric. So here we see things which might be kind of familiar and things to us. We see the actual things like the host name and the IP address. We can see all of these are reachable. We see the status is normal. We see time zones, that kind of thing. What we also see is things like longitude and latitude, serial board numbers, all this kind of stuff. So let's imagine for a second that we're doing an audit on our network and we need to know all of the serial numbers from our devices. One API call, we can pull all of this information back about all of our devices, and we can probably pass that serial address into an Excel sheet, or forward it into a different file, and we're able to get all of this information back, by simply putting the API call into Postman, hitting send and pulling all this information back. You think, well, how long would that take you manually to do if this was 1,000 devices? It'd take you quite a while. And believe me, I have been that engineer sat in the office on my own, eating cold pizza on a Friday night, copying and pasting serial numbers or version information into an Excel sheet, so late that I'm actually catching the last train out of London. That by the time you get back, it's the next day. Kind of thing. Everybody's been there. It's just one
rite of passage.
It's a rite of passage. Been there, kill my teeth. But yeah, I mean, this is a great way that you can use Postman to do this, and you can start pulling information back through APIs, through the from vManage to get information all about all of the network and things. And there's so many other things you can do from this as well: device status, interface status, bug status, real-time monitoring. There's a lot of APIs in here that are powered out of vManage to pull that information back for you just to see right away.
Yeah. So I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Stuart, but this is, we're kind of programmatically getting all the data that we were seeing, and probably more than in that dashboard view, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, you can go into the dashboard and you can navigate through this, through the UI, but you can get the information, even quicker by just getting it from an API, and you can start integrating this into other systems, into other tools as well, other applications to start or getting all of this information back. You might want this information, say, for alerting purposes, where you're creating webhooks from the APIs to go into something like Teams or into your chat messaging system to let you know when bandwidth utilization is reaching a peak, or for example when a device's CPU is high, or when a link goes down, or you're getting failures or something like that, and you're able to pull all that information back again from the APIs. So it's there's so much information that you can get back from the APIs with this kind of policy.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, just the example you're talking about, right? If you have 8 of them, sure, it's probably not that big of a deal to go through and look at manually. But yeah, you can see start seeing and imagine the power of this if you have, even if like 100.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you can jump into. I mean, we can search here and we can look at, say, find a device itself. We might not want to look at all of the devices, so we can pick out. We sort of manage that, and what we want to do is we want to actually look at perhaps one of the edge devices. Site 100. This could be one of our data centers, and this data center have anything. We can see, well, status is normal and things, but we have to scoot through quite a lot of lines of information to get that. But we can drill down further into the APIs here, then just do another GET request into here. And what this should do is, cross his fingers, this should bring all of this information back about this one particular device, and scoot down here. And now we're getting even more granular in here. We see interfaces, link type, more site ID, device ID key, last updated, MAC address information, more information. This is where we start to get more super detailed into this particular device. So we can go further down into device level, and you can go further down into interface level as well with all of the APIs as well.
This is pretty neat. Yeah. Stuart, I'm curious, what's the next request? Device status. What is that one return?
Yeah, device status. Let's take a look. Let's give that a call now. So device status will actually tell us a bit more about the status of the device itself. Again, we're starting to get a little bit more granular. We're still using this data services device, but now we've added the / monitor onto here as well. So now we can go down to here to start to look at this and see a bit more into the status level. So it's really just making the information a little bit sort of more granular as we go down into the devices themselves. So we are cutting out some of the information, maybe about interfaces or serial numbers, and where we're just getting site ID, layout, status, normal, device name, and that kind of stuff. So it's just making the API calls that a bit more granular, going into a bit more detail.
Cool.
Yeah.
Then Krishna says about router. So I'm not sure exactly what this question is referring to. Stuart, do you have any thoughts?
Say again, what was the question, sorry?
About router, question mark?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, no, that's exactly about. So the device that we're looking at here, a vEdge, is exactly what it said, a router or router, as we say in the UK.
Okay.
Yeah, router. It is. But in this instance, this is a vEdge device, V standing for virtual. So this is perhaps something that you would deploy, in a cloud environment, perhaps AWS, GCP, Azure, something like that. So this could be, connecting into our AWS instance. This could be our part of a hybrid cloud model, for example. So it's not just for physical devices. We're talking about virtual devices as well, which live in the cloud. But yeah, absolutely right. This is a router or router.
Cool. I've never heard router. I like that. Learning every day. Cool. So just to do a quick recap. So if you're just joining, or if you skipped ahead in the replay of the video, so far Stuart has taken us to the Cisco DevNet portal, to kind of walked us through some of the features and things available there. We didn't set up necessarily a sandbox account, but that should be a relatively easy process for folks. I think you said you can connect a social account and get your credentials pretty quickly. And then went to the Cisco DevNet Public Workspace, looked at some of the collections through there, and we forked this one, the Cisco SD. You say WAN or
WAN.
You say WAN? WAN. Okay.
I say WAN. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like I read it so often, but don't say it out loud that I don't know the proper way to actually say it. And so from here, we've just made, we kind of went through the auth process. Stuart sent a few requests, got the token. And I imagine, Stuart, if you went back to the get token request, I saw that there was some code in the test tab, and I imagine that's just setting the token somewhere. If you look in can you click the test tab for us?
Yeah, sure, of course. There you go. Let me just scroll this down. There you go. Yeah.
Okay, yes, yep. And then you can start there. The environment.set, we set our token with responsibility.
Yeah.
So that's a cool way to kind of programmatically handle, right? If you were to run these requests in a row rather than manually doing it, if you do it with like a monitor or something, this would be able to be handled without you having to copy and paste anything. So
yeah.
Nice job, Cisco team, setting up the collections to be able to rerun easily. Cool. Does that kind of cover what we've done so far?
Yeah, that's everything, buddy. That's awesome.
Cool. All right. Well, I think the next step would be, we talked about for this stream, the title is Map Your Network Devices with Cisco. We peeked at some of the responses and saw kind of the information we got. So we got information about status. We got information. I want to pull this off just for a sec while we're chatting here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, so we got information about the status. We got information about, the kind of devices they are. There's also, I don't know if we actually called it out, but there was information on the latitude and longitude, right? We got the location. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a fun thing to do from here would be, taking that information and, using what we call the Postman Visualizer, which is, an area where you can basically create an HTML template to visualize your data. So we can like format it, and what I think is fun is we'll see if Stuart can get these devices to pop up on an interactive map in the Postman Visualizer. So
let's do that. This is going to be fun.
So folks watching, feel free to chime in, help out if we get stuck. But yeah, so I'm going to pull your screen back up here, Stuart. So if you want to pull up Postman.
Yep, let's do that 1 second. There we go. Okay.
All right. All right, I'm going to hide the chat again for now. And I'm gonna keep our heads here just because I think we'll be needing to look at the response quite a bit. And yeah, I think it'll just be easier.
Okay. So
for those not familiar with the Postman Visualizer, if you look right now, so on Stuart's screen, there's in this response tab, there's pretty, raw, preview, and then visualize. So you can go ahead and click that. And I thought it would give us a message that says there's nothing, but yeah. So right now there's nothing because we haven't written any code or written anything to like actually visualize. Like we have our response, which is just raw JSON. So what we want to do is we're going to create a template that allows us to visualize these in some way. So Stuart, I'm going to kind of guide you through this. Because if you're watching, Stuart has not done this before, so you will kind of see the live coaching and experience here.
No safety net either. This is not rehearsed.
Okay, so I'm getting that we're showing the wrong screen, but I don't know why that would be the case. In the chat, are you seeing Stuart's Postman screen? Let us know. Okay, it's fixed now. All right, so we're good.
All right, okay.
Okay, so what I think. Oh, interesting. Okay, so Karsten is giving us some feedback. Approximately 10-second delay in YouTube when you click around, so don't do it too fast.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so let's go ahead and look at. Jettison is giving you some advice on probably just bandwidth and stuff. Turn off Docker, but I don't know if that's possible.
On my side, yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
1 second.
Yeah, Docker can suck up some resources and make it a little bit harder.
Docker's gone.
See ya, Docker. All right. Let us know if that speeds things up a little bit for us.
Thank you. If my MacBook's, I can't hear, I've got my big headphones on today. So if my MacBook is, if the fan is, I haven't got 3rd-degree burns on my hands yet. So my MacBook can't be that hot.
Nice. Cool. So I think, one of the things that we have is, we worked with some folks at Codebase, which is a student organization that has done some work for us in the past. And one of the cool things they did is they created a bunch of like visualizer templates, which have been like widely used and adopted, and we've kind of built off them. So I think, Stuart, what would make the most sense for you is if you searched in Postman. So we're going to like look at some templates and bring them in to this workspace.
Yep.
So let's search for Visualizer, and we can kind of see what comes up just from there.
Visual AI.
Yeah, pick a nice tough one. And then IZER.
Yeah. Oh, double R. There we go. Visualizer.
And then let's put templates and see what comes up. Okay, so that one that's Codebase. I just happen to know that. We can do the one from Postman. We can do the one from Codebase. Let's go ahead and click the one from Codebase because that's the original.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So let's search again for Visualizer templates. Yeah. And let's just do the Postman one.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Oh, hold on. Let me just.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Maybe it's just a bit slow.
Yeah, this is interesting. So I'm not sure why this is doing this. Oh, weird. What if you scroll down to the bottom? It should be under V for Visualizer.
Yeah.
It's all the way down.
Visualizer templates.
Okay. Oh, so let's click the one above it.
This one?
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. So at least now we're finding these new folders, basic templates, and additional templates. So let's fan those folders out, the basic templates and additional templates.
Yeah.
So bar chart, scatter plot, table. What we want is we're going to do a map. So let's look at that map one.
This is the map one. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So let's go now and Visualizer examples. Let's fan out the example above. Yeah. So that's not what we want. Let's go back again to the one below and see if that one still says it's empty. So the actual Visualizer featured templates, that like the next collection below. Yeah, let's fan this out. And let's see additional templates here. Let's see map.
Map.
All right, cool.
Here we go.
So I think to make it easier for us to work with, so we're not like copying and pasting as much from different workspaces, we can fork this collection into the collection we're already working with.
Okay.
And so you're going to actually have to do it from the collection level. So all the way, so we're going to bring in all of these templates and work from there.
Okay. So we do it right at the top.
Down below, a little bit lower. Yes.
Oh, there.
Right. So
okay.
yeah, we're going to fork this collection.
Yeah. Okay. And we just fork it from like we would normally, yeah?
Yep, exactly. So the same thing we did to bring the Cisco DevNet collection into your workspace, we'll do that same thing again now.
Let's call it Postman Demo 2, and then put this into my workspace.
Yeah, is that the one we were in? I don't remember.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, okay, cool. Let's do that one.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
All right. And now you're watching that collection, so if there are ever changes, you'll be the first to know, Stuart.
Hey.
So let's go ahead and star this one again, just so that we kind of have them both up there. At the top.
Yeah, and let's just star that. That's cool. Come on.
Yeah, that once I discovered that feature, it almost hurt me because now I star everything, and it's like just the same thing. Just my start items are off.
Yeah, why is that not starring? That's weird.
Starring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know actually.
That is strange. Can I star that one? I can star that one, but I can't star this one. Interesting. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Well, let's go ahead. Let's make one of those sample map requests and just kind of see what we're working with and what it looks like.
Okay. So open the map up again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's try UFO sightings. Let's just open that request.
Yep.
And I think the thing to point out, let's go over to the tests tab.
Yep.
And we can kind of get an idea of what the heck is going on. Actually, let's click send. Let's click send, and then we can go back and look at the code and see how this all came about.
No, I'm going to guess I'm going to have to change my environment.
I think for this one, I don't think there is any environment variables.
Okay. Let's send it. Okay. Sending request.
And of course, it'll take its sweet time. Okay. So rather than try to debug this one, let's look at the earthquakes request instead.
Okay. Let me just
there could be something with the API. It could be all sorts of things.
Yeah. Earthquakes. Here we go.
Cool. So we see the JSON in the pretty tab, And if you actually, Stuart, go to the visualize, we should get a cool little map.
Wow.
All right. Hey.
Yeah. Look at
Look
that.
at all these. Yeah. So this is cool. This is, the visualizer is a tool that we can use to, like, I mean, literally the word visualize is in the name of the tool. So, you can set your response and format your response in a way that you're actually able to, visualize it in Postman, in this tab, which I think is really cool. We've seen some really sweet use cases of it. And so what we're going to do is kind of take this code and repurpose it for our network devices. But yeah, let's check out the test tab now and just kind of see how this came about.
Let me just scoot this down here. There we go. I can put that over there.
Sweet. Okay. So the first thing that you'll see is this template variable. And all this is this is going to be where we kind of write the HTML and JavaScript for to create this template. So to create this area, the data that we returned is going to be piped into. And so we're not going to look, a ton at the various, like nitty gritty of it. We'll kind of customize it as we go through. But, if you're familiar with HTML, CSS, or JavaScript, you can see, line 2, we're importing the D3.js library. And, then we have this JSON library. And so these are going to be, full JavaScript libraries that are imported in here and we're able to use in this template tab. So I feel like I should let the audience know, Stuart, you are not a JavaScript developer, correct?
No, cool. the only Java I know comes in a bean.
Gotcha. Yeah, so this is great because what I'm hoping to show is that we can kind of take this template and Stuart, who has very little JavaScript experience, can repurpose it for this thing that we're trying to do. So let's scroll down to the bottom of this test tab. The template is just kind of going to go through all of the CSS, which is the styling and the various JavaScript functions that will make this thing work. And then after we get through all this, keep going. And right here, if you go up a little bit.
Up a little bit?
Yep, right here. So this is going to be a pretty standard thing. This the var response equals pm.response.json. What that's doing is taking the actual response body from the API and turning it into a JavaScript object that we can work with and parse. And then if you look below, the data parsing is really just going through, in this case, it was earthquakes. And again, we're going to repurpose this and bring it into our example for network devices. But here you can see, right, they're capturing on line 181, they're capturing the latitude and longitude from the response. And then they, are doing a few different things. So they're setting the color, and then it just gets put into this object, parse the data. And then scroll down a tiny bit more just so we can see line 188. And then the last thing, right, is this visualizer method. So it takes 2 parameters. The first one is going to be that template, and that's just that long string of the styling and the scripts that we imported. So that big template object, or that big template string, I should say, is the first parameter. Then the second one is going to be the actual data that we just talked about. So Stuart, how much of that makes sense to you?
Just a little bit. I'm getting some of the words, but let's see what happens.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, we're just gonna try to take this, instead of looking at earthquakes, we're gonna look at the network devices.
Yep.
So what we want to do is let's go ahead and copy literally everything from this tests tab.
Okay. Okay. Ooh, copy. There you go.
All right. And so now let's go back to the request that you made to get information. This is the one that has devices, right?
Yep.
Cool. All right. So let's go into the test tab here.
Yep.
And we're just going to paste this whole thing in.
Bang. Look at that.
Sweet.
Is that it?
I wish. Actually, I mean, you can put Shen and it'll probably say something like, earthquakes doesn't exist. And this is actually a good opportunity to talk about the console. Have you looked at the console before?
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
Cool.
I have looked in the console. Console is I find the console really, really helpful. So let's scoot down, because this will be the last request that we've made, won't it? There.
Yep. So if you didn't catch that, so on the bottom left of either the Postman app or Postman for the web, you'll see a little console icon, and you can click that, and this will pull up your history of requests, and if there's errors, or if you console logged anything, if you're familiar with that in JavaScript. This is a great place to kind of debug and look into various things. Yeah,
I find this really helpful as well when doing requests and looking at responses and payloads and that kind of stuff, especially with APIs, to see what's being formatted, see what's coming back.
Definitely. Okay, cool. So let's close the console. We know that we're getting an error on features is not a
close. Oh, there you go.
Right. So, I mean, that made sense. It would be too convenient, right, if that worked.
It would be.
And paste, exactly. The good news is we're not terribly far off. We just have to figure out what our data looks like. And so let's pull up the response tab a bit so we can just see a bit more about our response. Cool. All right. So header. So Stuart, maybe you can kind of walk us through some of the things. Like what we ultimately want is to figure out the latitude and longitude of each device. So we're going to kind of start there. So let's walk through this response and figure out where that exists.
Yeah. So that will come down. We have to go a little bit further down here, because what we start to pull out here is just some sort of like information from vEdge, and you'll see here that like the PNG file, because we're pulling this directly from vManage itself, it will actually pull in all the images as well. So the images could be used as well. So you might be wanting to put these images into some kind of screen or some kind of monitoring. So you do get the value of the images put in.
Or dare I say some sort of visualizer? Visualizer is the word.
Visualizer. And you can see some of these. I mean, we don't like we like this word in the network world. We love the word green. We're not so keen on this one. Yellow, I can live with, but we really do want everything to be green. Everything's happy when it's green, right? So if we scoot down a bit, we don't start to get to the actual data of what's in the fabric, until we start to get to this point here, which is line 241 here, and this is where we start to get information about the devices which are attached, including the SDN control, including vManage and everything which is attached into the fabric now. So we were saying that we wanted to look for longitude and latitude, right? So so let's see. Here we go. Oops, we can just scoot down there. A lot of information. So here we go. Site ID, and then we get longitude and latitude in here. And this is broken down into, essentially, we've got 8 edge devices, and then there's 3 devices. So we have vManage, vSmart, and vBond, which make up the kind of brain of the SD-WAN fabric itself.
Perfect. Okay. So what this tells me is, our response, if we now look up at this line 175 in our test tab, we have this response is saved as pm.response.json. And what we kind of saw is there's 2 sections of that response, right? There's the headers part, and there was the body part, or data part, I believe it was called.
Yeah, data,
So one thing that I like to do, and this will be a little JavaScript trick for you here, Stuart. On line, so let's make a new line right after 175. And let's just write console.log. And then open parentheses. And let's put response. And just put a semicolon at the end. Outside the parentheses, sorry.
Say again?
Put the semicolon outside the parentheses.
Oh, sorry.
Perfect. Okay. Is that a semicolon or is that a regular colon?
Oh, that's a colon. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, that's what's nice about like the linter that's built in, right? Like I couldn't. It's hard to tell exactly, but all right. Let's click send again, and what this is going to do is actually show us what this JavaScript object response looks like, and it's unhappy. Console.log. So let's open the console and see what the error is.
Oh, let me scoot across here. There we go.
Oh, it's probably just going to say, yeah. But we do see, okay, so right above the error that says type error, you can see there is this thing that shows us header and data.
Yep.
And so now we can actually see, like, what is the object that we just saved? And this is it. So you can actually unfurl that.
Oh, okay. There you
go. Cool. And so now you can even dig in deeper. You can drill into the data thing. The data thing. The data.
Yeah. So I'm having to navigate my screen just a little across because we've zoomed out so much.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we can see right there are 12 items in this data array. And does that number 12 make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, right. Because I think that's exactly how many devices we were talking about.
Yeah, it was. Yes, it was.
Cool. Yep. Perfect. And let's just unfurl, let's say 0, and just so we can see. We're probably going to see the exact same thing we saw when we were looking in the the response body, and we can see all the various key value pairs here.
Yes.
So, all right. So now we have an idea of what this object looks like, and so we know that we're going to have to go from our response. We're going to have to go one more. Drill in a little bit deeper to get this data object. So let's go back to the test tab here. We can collapse this.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, so now we see on line 180, this is where we're going to have to kind of customize it a little bit to go from earthquake to what we want. So let's call it, instead of earthquake, we can say device.
Okay. Yep.
And for us, it's not going to be response.features. That's where we're going to change it to response.data.
Yep.
Cool. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe, so for this temp entry, what we're going to do it's going to loop through this array of 12 objects for each device. We're going to create a new object. It's just going to be like a temporary thing so that we can create something for the template to know what to do with.
Okay.
And so from here, instead of earthquake on line 182, instead of earthquake.geometry.coordinates, what we're going to do is, remember, ours is just going to be device dot. So sorry, I should be more clear. Yeah. So, yep, perfect.
Device dot.
I think it was just latitude. So I think we don't need any of that stuff. It can literally just be device dot latitude.
Have I spelled that right? Latitude. Yeah.
I think it's 1T.
Oh, okay. I remember. There you go.
And everything to the right of latitude, I think we can get rid of.
Everything to the right on this. Oh, God, coordinate. Yeah, exactly. All of that. Right to the semicolon.
Yeah. So that was how their API formatted that data. But I think for the Cisco DevNet API, it's going to return it as just .latitude. And so for the line below, we can go ahead and change it to just device.longitude, very similar to above.
Okay. So device. And I'm going to struggle to spell this word as well. Why is it all long words today? Long. Long.
L-O-N-G.
L-O-N-G. Yeah.
Longitude. Yeah, we go.
Longitude.
Yep.
There you go.
We can get rid of all the other stuff.
Yeah.
And so for this next one, circle size, so we're not going to have this property. So everything after the equal side, we can just erase all that and let's just say 5 and see what that does.
And just type is that the number 5 or the letter 5?
The number 5.
Okay.
The letter 5. And so then for temp entry color, I assume that's just some normal shade. If we want to put a string, we could write pink if you want, and I think that should work.
Okay, and that's still the wrapped in quotes?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So that should work. Let's scroll down a little bit more. And then the last thing we want to change is just the title of our map.
Yeah.
Quentin Snyder's got some kudos. He was up way too late to be coding live. Get that man a coffee.
Okay, let's just do. There you go. How does that look?
Okay.
Cisco SD-WAN demo. Yeah.
And now, I say we go for it. I say we click send. See what happens.
Okay.
Good sign. 200. No errors.
Yeah, I like it.
All
Should we
right.
click on Visualizer?
Hey, let's
you want to see?
Do we have? Yeah, there's some pink dots.
Yeah, there we go.
Nice.
Yeah, let me move it up there. There you go. So we've got a pink dot there, and you can see that looks to be just in Bury St Edmunds in the UK, famous place for. Anyway, what's next?
Network devices. Yeah. Cool. So,
yeah.
Okay, I think let's kind of recap what we did, right? Because I was kind of like puppeteering, saying type this, type that. Jettison says, "Boom, we got it." So yeah, what do? We started off by getting just making a request to the Cisco API, getting just the JSON returned of very specific information, the status, location, ID, all that stuff. We said, cool, this is great. Let's take it a step further and let's try to visualize these. And so to do that, we're taking advantage of the Postman Visualizer. And we found some pre-made templates, and we kind of like repurposed those to use them. And knowing very little JavaScript, Stuart, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think it was too painful to go in and kind of change those things, right?
No, it's not. I'm just going to update my LinkedIn profile now with Java.
JavaScript.
Oh.
Put Java too. Why not? Yeah, Lincoln. Who knows if it's accurate?
Someone endorse me.
Yeah, exactly. I will. It'll be me.
Thank you, buddy.
But yeah, so we repurposed this code from another template that was made, and then just kind of matched the formatting from the response that we were getting to the response that they got when they set up the template. And from there, in just kind of a few clicks and a few small customizations, we were able to get this map up and running.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you think, Stuart? Should we try to do one more little customization for the map?
Yeah. Let's do another one. I'm all excited now.
Sweet. Okay. Let's go back. Let's look at let's go back to the console and let's look at the things. Just kind of, I think, a neat way to look at it. And we can unfurl that header data one.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm going to skip. Nope, nothing in there.
No. Okay. I mean,
oh no.
There we go.
Yeah.
If this is harder, we can actually just look in the response tab.
No.
It's the same info. Okay.
Yeah, let's do it this way. You're good. Let me just. There you go.
So what are some things people would want to know if they're getting this information and visualizing it?
Oh, from vManage, for example. That's a good question. Yeah, we can look in the response and also see what information comes back from vManage as well. So let's just jump back into. Hold on, I've got to scoot this up here. Let's go into the pretty raw. There you go. And let's scoot down. I'm just going to use the search function. I like the search function. It just makes, especially when looking at a lot of data, it's just easy to find.
Yep.
There you go, connected to vManage. So we'll just jump down here, vManage reachable. Personality type. Personality
so you can collapse the console to give yourself more real estate here as well.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, a little bit more real estate. Personality. Sounds like a dating profile. So, so device type, time zone. Time zone might be good. Last updated, domain ID, serial ID. What would I be looking for? This one is very useful. Might be looking for this. Might be looking for the version. Very important. What version you're actually running.
Okay. So that's a cool thing. So we can use that. So if we now go back to the Visualize tab, and let's hover over one of our devices.
So over this one, yeah?
Yeah, there should be a little pop-up. So right now it's just giving us, it's giving us the latitude and longitude. Let's say we also wanted to have, what was the thing you were just showing?
The version. The
version, right? Let's say we also want that in there.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can add that in. That'll be maybe our last challenge here of the day.
All right.
Okay.
So back into tests.
Yes. So let's go ahead and save. We're going to actually, so after line 183, we're going to make a new line.
Yep.
And so same kind of idea. We're going to do this temp entry to start.
Yep.
And then now we're going to do .version.
Oops. Yeah.
And so this will be, saving the version variable to this object. So let's say equals.
Yep.
And what do you think this one's going to be?
So I think this one should just be device.version, right?
Boom. Yeah, that's it.
There you go. Told you I'm putting JavaScript straight away. LinkedIn profile. That's it. I'm going to put it on my Twitter profile as well.
So there's one more thing we need to do. So now this value is going to be stored, but we have to edit the template so that, so that it knows what to have hovering over.
Yep.
So I don't know exactly how it's called, but we can do Control F and see if there's like a hover. So let's do that. So let's see if we can find in this window.
Oh, I got it. Yeah.
So yeah.
Hover.
Yeah. Okay, so create hover tooltip. Yeah, this seems like what we want. Let's scroll down a little bit because there should be something that says like longitude equals. Because that's
there it is.
Yeah, perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we can more or less copy this. So I would go up a tiny bit. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So from here, we basically want to do the same thing where we're going to do, so at the very end, so like 137 wraps around. And so at the very end, we're going to add in the parentheses.
Oh, in here? Yeah.
Yep. So do space. And I would add, let's see, a quote mark. Or actually, we're gonna have to do plus. So before the quote, So what I would do, and I think would be the most helpful, is you see where d.long is.
D.long.
Up a tiny bit. Just like
Yeah.
I would actually from there over, I would copy that from there to the parentheses and just copy and paste that, and let's reuse that. That's what I would do. Just to save us, we know that formatting is correct.
All the way across to there?
Yeah, that should work. We're gonna get ourselves in a bit of a pickle. We'll have to do some deleting, but this is okay.
Okay. Copy that. And paste.
And so then you want to, so I would delete both of those for right now. Delete the quote. Delete the quote and then delete the plus sign. And now you can paste.
Yep.
Okay. And so I actually want you to delete the d.long that you just put in.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. And so now go to the right a little bit, and where it says latitude, this is where we're going to put in version.
Oops, there you go.
Okay, and now instead of d.lat, we're going to change it to d.version. And this may work. This may have an issue, but let's see. And yeah, I say go ahead and click send.
Yeah. Alrighty.
All right. Oh, something's upset. I think it's just going to be like syntax somewhere that we probably missed. But rather than have folks okay, I think the last quote, you can get rid of the last quote at the parentheses.
There, yeah.
Yeah, get rid of that and the plus sign as well.
Yeah.
Let's try this. If this doesn't work, we can call it and have
oh,
this looks promising. All right, let's hover over one of them.
Don't scoot down.
And hey.
Look at that.
You, my friend, JavaScript expert.
JavaScript expert. That someone gives me I should need a sticker.
Yeah. Awesome.
Woo.
So I'm getting some credit from Jettison for my eagle eyes here. Cool. So Stuart, what are your thoughts on that template and trying to come up with this map? I know this is like a very crude map, but hopefully, maybe thinking about some of the things we could do going from here. What are your thoughts?
I mean, this is awesome. As you know, he's saying coming into this is a part of Postman that I don't really use at all. So coming into this and actually seeing, how extensive and the things that you can expand on top of what you're already doing is just like, mind blowing on top of this. I'm sure, some of the folks I've seen who have joined onto this as well, this, from, who are in the DevNet community, and I saw a couple of our team members join this, this might be the first time they're seeing this as well. So it's just, it's absolutely mind blowing the power of what you could do here. Yeah. So many different other, things are buzzing through my mind. I'm thinking, well, I can add this and I can add this and I can add this. There's so many things you could just add on in here as well.
Yeah, cool. I mean, it's awesome to hear. And that's certainly, like, I think one of the most fun parts of my job is, getting to talk to folks that, like we were talking about when we first started, right, are doing cool things, and things we didn't even think of as a use case. Like, whoa, this is sweet. Like, I didn't know this was even possible. And so, one of my favorite parts. So, I think, so that's all I think for this stream. I want to talk briefly about some stuff we've got coming up. We also, Stuart, we do community shout-outs. And so I probably could have given you a heads up, but if there's anybody you want to give a shout-out to, this is a good time.
Oh, good shout-out to. I mean, I'd like to, thank my wife, obviously. My beautiful dog, Bailey, and, my great team over at Cisco DevNet. Great, awesome people to work with. We've got some super smart people over on the team, and then obviously friends over at Postman. We collaborate such a great amount with Postman. Who spoke at Galaxy. We've had Postman folks come speak at our events at DevNet Create as well. So it's always great to work with the Postman team. Always great to work with the Postman team. And you see, when I was doing my demo there as well, is that I've been using a plugin on VS Code recently called Tab 9. And was doing the JavaScript. I actually saw Tab 9 is actually integrating as well with into Postman as well. I didn't even know that was possible. So kudos to Tab 9 as well. Yeah,
cool. That's a fantastic shout out. Way to nail that one on the spot, Stuart.
Yeah, awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I'll give a shout out to our team here at Postman as well. We just like I showed earlier on, released I think 3 or 4 blog posts today with all sorts of features and announcements, and that is just massive teamwork to get all those features out. It's been a long time, a lot of work, and then I know the blog posts are a lot of work as well. So like getting all that out in a way that makes sense for folks to read and consume. Kudos to everyone that made that happen. I think it's a really valuable way for people to stay aware of what's going on. So I think it's really awesome. And then lastly, if you're interested in joining us next week, we've got a few more streams coming up. So next week's live stream will be how secure are your APIs? And that is going to be with Joyce and then some folks from, well, I should know this offhand. I think it might just be Postman folks. Yeah, security engineers from Postman are going to talk about breaking APIs and checking vulnerabilities. So I think that'll be a fun stream. And on Wednesday, we have a session of Space Camp, which is our bi-weekly, which in this case means every 2 weeks, bi-weekly series of webinars where we focus on teaching Postman or various parts of Postman to specific audiences. And so next week is a great session for testers. And so if you're interested in that, I will pass along that information in the chat. Just give me 1 sec. But yeah, Space Camp is a fun thing where you can learn about different things in Postman. And next week's session is a more advanced session for testers. So definitely check that out if that's something you're at all interested in. Stuart, anything else?
No, dude. I think that's it. That's absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for having me on today. This has been such great fun.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you for joining. Thanks for being a good support. Getting coached through JavaScript that you don't know. Really appreciate everything.
It's brilliant. Yeah, I'm going to carry on my JavaScript journey now. That's it. I'm a JavaScript junkie.
I love it. All right, Stuart. Thanks so much, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, everyone. Take care now. Bye-bye.